Hi, if you feel like you go above and beyond in your relationships and you tend to give and give and give, feel like you don't get much back, and then when you finally get to the point where you have to remind someone of the kind things you've done for them, which doesn't feel great, and they say to you something like, I never asked you to, that can get us really upset. If that is you, you might be struggling with codependency. With codependency, we tend to have poor boundaries, but we do it with good intentions. We really are trying to help. We are trying to go above and beyond. But actually what we're doing is sort of like butting in, taking over, taking control when we haven't been asked. And so when someone reminds us, well, you're the one that did that, I never asked you to do those things, it's very frustrating and painful and upsetting because we've given up so much to be able to do for them, and it feels like they don't appreciate it, right? But the truth is, if they didn't ask us to, it is on us. That is a decision we chose to make to be able to help someone. Still super painful. So when you struggle with codependency, having poor boundaries, it comes because this is how we tend to be raised, and we learn to get value by how useful we can be to someone else. So if we're being sort of like programmed or trained to be useful, then we're really good at spotting someone else's needs. We're like professional need spotters. And we're also very capable because we've been meeting needs since we were young people, right? So we're really good at meeting needs. We're really good at spotting needs, but we're not so great at waiting to be asked, because we're feeling that if we can meet a need and we can be super valuable for someone else, then they're going to stick around and they're not going to leave us, right? Because that's one very common fear of someone who struggles with codependent traits, is that fear of abandonment, the fear of being left, or the fear of being replaced. So we try to be super useful, and it can also cause us to not be able to express our emotion, to not say what we're thinking, to not know how to express our needs. We're so used to looking at someone else's emotion, trying to decipher what it is they're thinking, trying to figure out what it is they need, that we're not used to paying attention to ourselves. We don't know oftentimes what we're thinking. We don't know how we're feeling. We don't even really know what it is we need because we're so focused on someone else's need. So when we get to that point of being fed up and exhausted, a lot of times it's really almost too late. We've kind of gone past the point of no return. And when we hit the moment where we realize like, hey, I'm doing everything and you're doing nothing, we can kind of flip it on that other person. But we don't get to see how we're sort of the ones who had a big hand in creating that relational dynamic. We've been setting it up that way. So we do this by denying help or letting someone else help us. So if someone's like, hey, would you like this? And we're like, oh no, but I'll get it for you, right? Or do you need help with this? No, I got it. I'm good. But then we're always helping them. So a lot of times we don't accept help, we just only give help. So we're teaching people to basically never ask us again to help us, right? So it's not that there's self-condemnation or blame for that. It's almost just looking at the reality of what we're doing. And maybe this is why we keep on making our relationships a prison. So realizing, okay, so it came from me wanting to get acceptance and from me feeling like I needed to be valuable. I learned how to be valuable by being able to identify a need and meet a need. Also to only worry about someone else's thoughts and emotions and sort of ignore my thoughts and emotions. I'm really good at finding a need, but I'm not so great at expressing what I need. This is how relationships don't work for me because they're designed and created, which is what I'm doing when I struggle with codependency. I'm the one making it so that I'm going to end up miserable. I'm going to end up used. I'm going to end up just depleted. I'm going to end up empty because I'm pouring out and I don't allow someone else to pour into me, right? So that's part of where it comes from. And this is how it leads to people pleasing and acceptance seeking, because I'm constantly measuring if you're believing I'm enough. Because the whole goal is for me to be enough for you so you don't leave me. So I don't really have that, what's called an internal locus of control. I'm not feeling that I'm in charge of this destiny or where my life is going to go in this relationship. I'm more worried about how you're perceiving me and if I'm enough for you, which is exhausting, right? And it puts a lot of pressure on the other person in the relationship. So when we struggle with codependent traits, the one huge thing we have to learn is boundaries. We don't understand boundaries. In fact, we were oftentimes rewarded for having no boundaries, having poor boundaries, and also overstepping boundaries. So if I feel like you need something and I go into your house and I just do it for you, right? That's a massive boundary violation. I didn't have permission to make those changes. I didn't have permission to be able to do any of those things. But I'm feeling like you're going to love me more, and this is how I show you love, is by being able to go and help you and fill this need for you. But I miss how upsetting that could actually make someone else because I just overstepped a boundary. So when someone has this response to my poor boundaries, it really cuts me deep because I'm trying so hard to get that acceptance, and now I feel like I really did something wrong, and now I'm going to have a response to you getting upset with me for having poor boundaries, and I don't understand how it's not okay because I was taught this is what you do when you love someone, and this is how you get someone to love you, right? Is by doing all these things for them, taking over, taking charge, taking control. And really, that's a lot of poor boundaries going on, and in the end, I'm going to end up miserable, and so is the other person. So in learning boundaries, Cloud and Townsend have a book. It's two authors, Cloud and Townsend, have a book called Boundaries. That's really great for learning these individual boundaries. There's also a model that I created called the Relationship Trust Boundary Model. This helps us to identify who gets to be closest to us versus who gets to be furthest from us, right? Those who have gained the most trust with us get to be closest to us. Those who have broken the most trust stay furthest from us. But also, if you want to learn how to stop chasing rejection and how to heal codependent traits, you can find this book on Amazon.com. You can also find a course. It's available on relationaltrauma101.podia.com. So in the end, just to summarize, we can sort of see, this is what we do when we struggle with codependent traits. This is where it came from. These are the issues we're going to continue to face because of it. But part of that healing and overcoming, really a key part of that is not only learning what a healthy relationship is, we have to really tune in and really be able to understand boundaries. That is not something that's going to come natural to us when we struggle with codependency, and that is a massive issue that we're going to face. So if you like this, check out Amazon, How to Stop Chasing Rejection, or the course that's available on the website. Take good care, and I'll see you in the next one.